Hey guys, and welcome back to C-Flop Cubing. Today I'm going to be doing kind of like a last turn tutorial. I know you probably don't need to be taught how to do the last turn, but in this video I'm going to be teaching you how you can predict what the last turn is going to be after doing a PLL, and how to do it the best way. This last turn is called the AUF, or the adjusting of the up face. By the way, all of the PLLs that I'm going to be using are the ones in my full PLL video. There I have all of the PLLs that I believe are the best, so if you're not sure about any of your PLLs, make sure to check out that video to see if you can get any better ones. Let's start with the A Perms. This works for both A Perms, the AA Perm or the AB Perm, so we're just going to do them both. So for either A Perm, if this bar here in the front is matched up with everything, then you will have no AUF. This bar will also be matched up, but you don't have to see that. As you can see, there is no AUF. If you see that this bar here needs to go over here to the left, then you're going to have to do a U move to get it over there. So you know that after you do the A Perm, you're going to have to do a U move. You can just do the A Perm, and then afterwards with your right index finger, do the U move. If this bar is opposite of the color down here, then you know that you're going to have a U2 afterwards. So you'll do it, and then you'll do the U2 with your right two fingers here, your index and your middle. If you notice that this bar needs to go to the right, or you can see that this needs to come to the right, then you know that you're going to have a U prime. For this one, you can just do the A Perm, and then do the U prime with your right index finger by pushing right here. It takes a little bit of practice, but it's not too difficult once you get the hang of it. For the E Perm, if this middle center here is matched up with the center, then you know you're going to have no AUF. It's going to be like that on all of the edges. If you see that the center color needs to go to the left here, then you're going to have a U move. You can also know that you're going to have a U move if this right corner here is matched up with everything else. To do it, you can just do the E Perm and then do an F move with your right index finger. If you see that the center color needs to go to the right, or the left corner is matched up with everything else, then you know that you're going to have a U prime to do at the end. This one you can just do by doing the E Perm and then pushing with this finger, or pulling up with your thumb, however you want to do it. I generally push with your finger. If you notice that your center color here is the opposite color as this color down here, then you know you're going to have to do a U2 afterwards. You can actually do it before as well. So if you see this, you can just do a U2 and then do the E Perm and get no AUF, or you can just do the E Perm and then get a U2 AUF. If you do it afterwards, then you can just do the E Perm, and then with these two fingers, you can do an F2. For the F Perm, if your block right here is matched up with everything else, then you know that you're going to get no AUF. If you see that the bar needs to come here to the front, then you're going to have a U prime as your AUF. To do this, you can just do your F Perm, and then at the end, use your left index finger to do the U prime. If your bar is not opposite of the color here, but it can't come to the front, then you know it needs to go to the back, and if that's the case, then you can just do the F Perm and have a U at the end. And so that's just going to look like this. You'll do the F Perm, and then afterwards you can pull with your left index finger. It takes a little bit of getting used to do this pull move, but once you get it, it's pretty easy, and it really does the AUF very quickly. Now finally, if this bar is opposite of the color down here, then you can just do it, and then you'll have a U2 AUF at the end, which you can do with your left hand. Now it's time for the G Perms. You can learn each G Perm separately, and like say for instance, if this bar for the GA Perm is matched up, then you can do a U move as your AUF at the end. But generally, I like to just do my headlights here, use these to protect the AUF, and if you do that, you can learn it for all the G Perms at once. So to start, if the headlights match up with the color down here, then you're going to have no AUF. If you notice that the headlights need to come down to this color down here, then you know that you're going to have to do a U prime AUF after the G Perm. To do this U prime move, you can just do the G Perm, and at the end, you can just do both moves at once. If you have a G-Perm where you actually have to do a reverse D move, then you can actually do that and do the U move at the same time. Just kind of practice doing that. If you notice that the headlights are not opposite of the color down here, but they don't need to come over here, then you know that they need to go to the back. You can also recognize this by looking at this corner color here and seeing if it needs to go over to this blue. If the blue needs to match up to the blue, then you know that you're going to have to do a U. So this one you can just do the algorithm and then do the U move. For some G-Perms, you kind of have to figure out the way that you want to do the AUF. I'm not going to be showing you every AUF for every G-Perm, but it's pretty self-explanatory. You can go through them if you want and just figure out which works for you. If the headlights are opposite of this color down here, then you're going to have to do a U2 at the end. Usually I do the AUF with my left hand. We are now on to the H-Perm. For the H-Perm, you know you're going to get no AUF if these headlights here are matched up. They're going to be matched up on everything, so however you're holding it, if they're matched up, then you know that when you do the H-Perm, then it's going to have no AUF. If you notice that they're opposite and that the center ones are matched up, then you know you're going to have to do a U2 at the end. You can do the U2 by doing it with your left hand. If you see that the headlights in the front need to go to the left, then you know that you're going to have to do a U move. You can do that by, after doing the H-Perm, doing one of those pull moves we talked about. If the headlights need to go to the right, then you're going to have a U prime AUF. So you can just do the AUF with your left index finger. Next are the J-Perms, so we'll start with the JA-Perm. This JA-Perm that I use is a pretty common algorithm, but one thing that people do not like about it is that it's hard to do the AUF. But I found this actually pretty easy once you get the hang of it. If these two blocks and all this is matched up, then you know you're going to have no AUF. If this bar needs to go to the left, then you know you're going to have to do an AUF of a U. You can also recognize this by looking at this blue corner here and seeing this matched up. But generally, I like to see this color going over here because I can kind of visualize the U move. So the way to do this is you're just going to do the JA-Perm, and then you're going to pull with your right index finger. If you know that this block is opposite of this block and this block is opposite of this block, but you can just look at this one, you know that you're going to have to do a U2 as your AUF. For this one, you can do that pull, but you can just do a U2. So you just do the JA-Perm and then just do your U2. Finally, if you see that this color needs to go over to the right, or this block needs to come over here to the front, then you know you're going to have to do a U prime. This one's the one that's a little bit tricky, because when you do the JA-Perm, what you need to do is you need to push with this finger to do the AUF. It seems a little bit difficult, and it kind of is to start with, but it gets pretty easy. For the JB-Perm, it's actually a little bit different than normal. These things are being switched, and this is the solid block, so normally the solid block is what's preserved, but here, when you do the algorithm, you have a U prime. The way that I find out what AUF I need to do is by ignoring the solid block and looking at this bar right here. When it needs to go to the right, then you have to do a U prime to make it go there, so that's what you're going to have to do as your AUF. You can just do that by doing it with your middle finger. You had just done a U prime move with your index finger, so it's all the way over here, so you can just do it with your middle finger. It's actually a lot easier than you might think. If it's matched up, then you know that you're going to get no AUF. If the bar needs to go over here to the left, then you're going to need to do a U move. You can do that with your right index finger. Finally, if this color here is opposite of the color down here, then you're going to have to do a U2. You can do that by doing the algorithm and then just resetting your index finger and then just doing a U2. Now for the N-Perms. For the NA-Perm, you can just see this block on the right here, and if it's matched up, then you know you're going to get no AUF. If it needs to go over here to the right, then you're going to have a U prime as your AUF. You can just do that with any finger you want. If this bar needs to go over here to the left, then you're just going to have to do a U move. You can just do the algorithm and then do it with your right index finger. If this bar is opposite, then you're going to have to do a U2. You can, if you want, do the U2 right at the beginning, and then you'll have no AUF, but it's really up to you. If you choose to do it afterwards, then you can just do it with your right hand. For the NB perm, it's fundamentally the same. This time it's on the left side though. If this bar is matched up, then you're going to get no AUF. If the bar needs to go to the right, then you're going to do a U move. You can just do the algorithm, and then kind of do a pull here. I think it's called like a pinch pull. When the bar needs to go to the right, then you're going to have to do a U prime at the end. You can do this by doing the NB perm and then just doing it with your index finger. If the bar is opposite of the color down here, then you're going to have to do a U2, and you can just do that with your index and middle finger on your left hand. Next is the RA perm, and this one's kind of like the JB perm, where once you do the algorithm, you actually have to do a U prime at the end. The way you can recognize this is by looking at this color here. This right corner, it's green, it needs to go to the right, so that's why you're going to need to do a U prime to get over there. If it was matched up, then you would have no AUF. If it needs to go to the right, then you're going to have to do a U prime, which you can do by just doing a U prime with your left hand. If this orange color needs to go over here to this orange, so that's going to be a U move, then you can just do the U move by dragging it over. This is like a U drag, or I don't know. Finally, if this color is opposite of the color here, then you're going to have to do a U2. So you can just do the algorithm and then just do a U2 with your left hand. Next, we have the RB perm, and for this one, it's also a little bit different, where you have to do a U prime at the end normally. So we're going to look at this center color here. It's the middle of the headlights. So if this is matched up with the correct color, then you're going to have no AUF. If it needs to go to the right, then you're going to have to do a U prime. You can do that by just after doing this, you can just do it with your left hand. If it needs to go over here to the right, then you're going to have to do a U move. This is another one of those circumstances where you need to do this pinch. Finally, if the center color is opposite, then you're going to have to do a U2. So you can just do the RB perm and then just do a U2 with your left hand. Next we have the T perm. For the T perm, you can just look at the headlights. So if the headlights are matched up, then you're going to have no AUF. If the headlights need to go to the back, you can also look at this bar here. If it needs to go over here, then you're going to have to do a U move. So you can just do the T perm, and then here you can do one of those kind of like drag moves. If the headlights need to go here to the front, or this bar needs to go here to the right, then you're going to have to do a U prime. You can just do the T perm, and then do it with your left hand. If the headlights are opposite and this bar is opposite, then you know that you're going to have to do a U2. You can just do that with your left hand, like that. Next, we have the U perms. So this actually works for both the UA perm and the UB perm. If the headlights are all matched up, then you know that you're going to get no AUF. Well, if that's not the case, then what you can do is you can just like look for the headlights, which way the headlights go, and that's kind of what we've been doing, and that works fine, I'm assuming. But for this, I kind of do something a little bit different. It's up to you which way you want to go. This way actually works pretty well for me, but I don't know if it's something that you'd want to learn. I look for the odd color out in the group. I know that's the orange here, because on the top I can see all the colors except for orange, and I can see orange on here. So now I know that the orange is in the back, which means that it needs to come here to this orange, so you're going to have to do a U move. So I just know that, and I can do the U move. So to do the U move, you're going to have to do a pull, so with this finger here like that. Here I see that blue is the odd color out, it's back here, so you're going to need to do a U prime to match it up. So here you can just do the U perm and then just do it with your left hand. Here if the colors are opposite, and you can also see that this is the odd color out, it's in the back, you're just going to have to do a U2 afterwards. You can just do that by doing the U2 here. For the V-Perm, you can just look at this block. This block is just going to stay solved, so if it's already solved, then you know that you're going to have no AUF. If the color needs to go over here, which is a U move to get there, then you're just going to have to do the U move. So after the V-Perm, you can do this pinch. If this one needs to come over here, so it needs to be solved with a U prime, then you know you're going to have to do a U prime afterwards. So you can just do it, and then do it with your left hand. If this is opposite of this, and this is opposite of this, then you know you're going to have to do a U2 to match it up. So you're just going to do it, and then you're going to do the U2 with your left hand. Next we have the Y-Perm. So if you see these blocks here solved in their right spots, then you know you're going to have no AUF. If this color needs to come here, and this color needs to come here, you can just do the Y-Perm, and then pull with that finger. If this color needs to come over here, and this will need to come back here, then you know that you're going to have to do a U prime. So you can just do the Y perm and then just do a normal U prime. If these colors are opposites, or you can just see if this is solved, then you know that you're going to have to do a U2. You can just do that with your left hand, just normally. Finally, we have the Z perm. The Z perm is not that hard, but for me, it's the hardest to recognize the AUF for. I really have not found a very good way to recognize this, but this is the best way that I could come up with. Basically, we're going to be looking at this right centerpiece here. If it's matched up correctly, then you're going to have no AUF. If it's, for instance, here, and it needs to come here to the front, then you're going to have to do a U move to get it there, so that AUF is going to be a U. So you can just do the Z perm, and then you can pull with your index finger. If you can see that this blue needs to go to the back because it doesn't need to go here because this would be opposite, so it needs to go opposite of this, which is back here, then you know you're going to have to do a U prime to get it there, so that's what the AUF is going to be. You can just do the AUF by doing this and then just doing a normal U prime. Finally, if this color here is opposite of the color down here, then you're going to have to do a U2. You can just do the U2 with your left hand. And that is all for this video. I hope you guys learned a lot about predicting your AUF and completing it in a very efficient manner. I know it's just one move, but this one move can really cost you a lot. Hopefully you learned a lot in this video, and I will see you guys in the next one.